All right. So once you guys find that text structure digital notebook, open it up, and you are going to want to be on slide 14, and it should look just like this. Okay. If you're in my home base, can you come see me really quickly? Totally forgot to give these to you. They're your star scores. Summer, where are you? There we go. I have another one for Sierra and Summer. You guys get two. Okay. Wait, Brie, I have one more for you. Yep, stay here. I've got another one. That's it, Kristen. That's it for you. Okay. That's it for you. And that's it for you. Thank you. All right, did we all find this slide? Yes. Okay. So like I said, we're going to focus on chronological text structure today. So we know that chronological is organized in time, right? In time order. And lots of times you can look for dates to help you recognize that it's a chronological text structure. Now, the purpose for finding a text structure is to help you summarize. Because once you know the text structure, you can figure out what's important, and then it can help you summarize. So first thing in your first blank, we're going to put these texts organize events in the order they happened. Okay, so your very first blank there, you're just going to type events. So we kind of already talked about that you would see this text structure a lot in social studies class, right? When you're reading, you see lots of dates and years in social studies. It's obvious, it's oftentimes organized chronologically. The narrative essays you guys just wrote, those are chronological. You wrote them in the order that the story happened. And then anytime you're reading fiction, it's almost always chronological. But we're focused just on nonfiction right now. And then words that you can look for besides dates, other words that you can look for to help you recognize that the article may be chronological are words like first, second, then, and next. Sektaj? Yes, you can. Go quickly because we're going to keep taking notes, okay? All right. Did we get those filled in? Okay. Did any of you notice that Taylor Swift was playing when you came in? No. She's like my favorite, and nobody even noticed. I was playing Taylor Swift music when you walked in, but this is an article all about Taylor, and it is written chronologically. So we're going to read this, and we already can see dates, right? Like you already see 2012, 2014, 2017. So we already know this is going to be chronological just by those dates that we see there. So we're going to read, and then we're going to highlight the dates because that's going to help us with our summary in the end, okay? So we've got Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012, reaching the top of the charts. The album included the popular singles We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together and I Knew You Were Trouble, which reached number one in the United States. Swift's fifth studio album, 1989, released in 2014 and sold 1,287 copies. This made her the first artist to release 3 albums that reached $1 million in sales in 1 week. By 2016, Swift had sold over 2 million copies of 1989. The singles Shake It Off, Blank Space, and Bad Blood all reached number one in the United States. Her 6th album, Reputation, will be released in November of 2017. Its lead single, Look What You Made Me Do, has already reached number one. So did we see lots of dates in there? Okay. What I want you to do right now is go through, and we'll do the first one together. I want you to go through and highlight where you see dates. Providence and Aaron, you don't want to be on this one. You want to be on yours so that you can type. Okay? It's under classwork. All right. So where's our first date? Where's the first place you guys see a date? A year? Anything? Jackson. 2012. Okay, 2012. What happened in 2012, Jackson?
Her album Red was released.
Perfect. And we are focusing on summarizing. Okay, so we're just going to pick the important part of 2012, what happened. So we're going to elect that. Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012. And then just click your highlighter button, pick a color. I don't care. I'm going to pick yellow. Okay. And now I want you guys to go through and look for the next dates that you see. There are, I will tell you, let's see. There's 3 more. Okay, so look for 3 more dates, decide what's important about those dates, and highlight it for me, and we'll see what you come up with. That's fine. All right, who found the next date? Who found the second date? And what was important about it? Vivian, what'd you highlight?
Swift's fifth studio album, 1989, released in 2014, sold 1,287 million copies.
Excellent job. So the next thing you should have highlighted is 1989, released in 2014, sold 1,287 copies. Did anybody find the third date, or are we still looking? Okay, what's the third one, Jason?
By 2016, Swift has sold over 2 million copies in 1989.
Perfect job. And did anybody find the fourth date?
Oh.
How about Bria? What'd you find?
Reputation was released in 2017.
There you go. Reputation. This says will be released in November of 2017, but that obviously already happened, right? So there are our 4 dates, right? So we've got that her album Red was released, 1989 was released, 2016 she sold over 2 million copies of 1989, and then Reputation will be released in 2017. So we've got our 4 dates. We figured out it was chronological because we saw dates, right? And then we knew what was important. Since it's chronological, obviously the dates are important. So that's what we highlighted. I told you guys on Wednesday that each of these text structures are going to have a graphic organizer that go with them. For chronological, it's going to be a timeline. So if you go to your next slide, we are going to put those 4 dates on this timeline. Okay. So your first one will be the very first one that you can copy and paste. Okay. So Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012. So if you go back, you can just copy right here and then paste it as your first event on that timeline. And then you can keep going, get your second, third, fourth events so that your timeline ends up looking like this. Oops, sorry. All right, once we have those events in there, now we're ready to write our summary. And our summary is going to be really easy to write. Do you guys remember when we wrote summaries with plot mountains?
Yeah.
For fiction? It's going to be the same exact thing, except we're going to use the timeline to do it. So we're just going to add those transition words. So we used words like first, then, next, if you remember. So our summary is going to be first, Taylor Swift's album Red was released. Then 1989 released in 2014. Next, 2016 Swift had sold over 2 million copies. Last, Reputation will be released. That's all we have to do. Okay, so you guys do not have to write this summary. I'm just going to show you what it will look like, and then you're going to write one with a group. Okay, so we're going to take that first event and oops, I already put it there. Okay, and we'll just copy and paste it right here. I'm going to make it bigger so you guys can see it. And what is a transition word that we could add at the beginning besides just saying Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012? What could we say before that? How about Bria? What do you have?
First.
Okay, so we can say first, Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012. Now we're going to go get our next event, which is this one in 2014, and give me a word that we can use to introduce this next sentence here. So we have 1989 released in 2014 and sold over 1.2 million copies. What could we use for our next word? Nathan. Then. Oops. Then. Okay, and now we're going to go get our third event, which was 2016. What is a word that we can use for this one right here? Okay, go. Perfect, Christian. He said after. So I'm going to say after that, in 2016, Swift had sold over 2 million copies. And then we're going to go get our very last event. Reputation will be released in November of 2017. And what could we add as a word to introduce that last sentence for us? How about, go ahead, Bria.
Last.
Perfect. Oops. Oh my gosh, there. All right. So now we've summarized the whole passage, right? So first, Taylor Swift's album Red was released in 2012, then 1989 released in 2014 and sold 1,287,000 copies. After that, in 2016, Swift had sold over 2 million copies in 1989. Last, Reputation will be released in November of 2017. So now we have a whole summary, okay? So when you're gonna summarize with your groups here in just a second. When you summarize, I'm going to give you a passage. First thing you're going to want to do is highlight the dates. Everybody's passage will be chronological, okay? Then you're going to have a timeline, and you're going to want to put those dates in the timeline. Your timeline is going to have 5 spots on it. Some of you will have 5 events. Some of you will have less than 5 events. I just put 5 spots on there in case you have a passage with 5 events, okay? And then you're going to use those events that you wrote on your timeline to come up with a summary, and there'll be a place for you to write a summary on the back. Okay, so let me put your groups up here. I can stop this recording.